6 years worth $235 million. So that would be even more than James Harden. And let's face it, Russell Westbrook was the MVP last year. So he probably should get paid more than James Harden. I'm not going to begrudge the man that. But here's how I look at this. All right. Steph Curry worth every dime that he's being paid.
Definitely.
Because during his time, since he has arrived on the Golden State Warriors, the value of that franchise has probably doubled. All right? So now you're talking about...
But also people know about the Golden State Warriors. You know?
But that's why the value has doubled, because now the Golden State Warriors have gone from being an average NBA team that more or less only people in California cared about to a nationwide, if not a worldwide brand. Because that's the pull of the NBA. The NBA is a worldwide league. It's not like baseball, which is really just a North America, maybe Central America kind of a league. But with the NBA, there are players in the NBA from all over the world. The NBA does tours and exhibitions all over the world. People know people in.
They also show their games all over the place.
People in Japan and Australia and all of the other continents know who Steph Curry is.
Yes.
All right. People all over. Well, Japan probably knows who Aaron Judge is, but there are a lot of countries that probably have no idea who Aaron Judge is. A guy like James Harden, who is similar in that way. The Rockets franchise is making money because people want to see James Harden play. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with some of these guys because knees are a funny thing, and older knees in the NBA especially are not so funny thing because they tend to break down. So I think I was listening to somebody with the Warriors the other night, and he said that he had to stop and pause for a second when he saw Steph Curry's contract because the final year was for $47 million. And he was thinking, I forget exactly how he said it, but it was just like how much money is this?
Well,
it's crazy.
If I'm the NBA, I would have cut a deal with the Players Association and said, hey, if we're allowed to spread this money out, please let us. Because if I was a player, I like that Bobby Bonilla idea where you get a paycheck for 25 straight years.
I know, you've mentioned this before.
But that's what I would do. I would say, hey, don't pay me $40 million a year, pay me $20 million a year, but pay it over double.
Players certainly are allowed to do that, but
I would do that.
I don't know how that affects the cap. It might.
That's a good point.
It might not. They might not be able to do that for cap reasons.
But then again, the NBA is much looser on the cap than the NHL. In comparison,
than the NHL, yes, the NHL has a hard cap.
Right. So that I would, But then again, if you're paid as a, if you're the $21 million advisor to the Yankees, as A-Rod is, still getting paid
27, I think.
Oh, that's 27 this year.
Yeah.
Think about
26.
that. He's that money. That money's off the cap.
Yeah. But well,
they don't have a real cap in baseball. So.
Well, they do for tax purposes, luxury tax purposes.
Right.
But and that's CeCe's money's coming off after this season, and the Yankees are going to be in a position, which is why. And another thing, I mean, I wanted to talk about the Yankees and trading deadline before. I don't think they're going to go after a big money guy because of that. Because I think they're in a position where they can finally look and see the future where they're under the salary cap, or what baseball calls the luxury tax cap. Let's put it that way.
Right.
And I think they want to get there. And I also think they will get there because they have so many good young players in the system. But they are going to need, at some point, to get pitching. And while there are some very good young pitchers in their system, you certainly can't count on these guys to become stars. That's.
Well, I think the Yankees would go for someone on the lower scale of the playing. No, wrong phrase.
I don't know what you're saying.
I don't know either. I think they're going to try for someone. I don't think they're going to have to get someone. That's, I guess, the best way to describe it.
No, they definitely need to get somebody. Their pitching is not good enough to win a title. Plain and simple. I'm not even going to pretend that it is because it's not. And next year, CeCe will be gone unless he decides to re-sign with the Yankees for a vastly reduced sum.
Right.
But
And to be honest
they
with
need
you,
pitchers. And Tanaka can opt out after this season, although after the way he's pitched this year, he'd be an idiot to opt out.
I don't see CC re-signing with the Yankees.
I mean, I could, depending on if he wants to stay. I mean, he could also if he's going to take a discount, he could also sign with a team like Oakland or the San Francisco Giants because he's from that area, California. So it would be
right.
It would be if he wants to go home and do that, he could. But if he wants to stay in New York and stay where technically this has been home for a good 7 years now, he could do that and not have to move and not have to uproot his family and do all that stuff. But it's going to be a decision that he's going to have to make.
We talked about the NBA free agency. Let's talk about the Knicks. They signed Tim Hardaway to a 4-year deal, $71 million.
Press conferences today,
and I was like, "Wow, that's pretty good considering the Knicks once had him."
Define pretty good. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm mixed about this move. I like the fact that Tim Hardaway Jr. is only 25 years old.
Right. I
like that part of it. I still think it's too much money, but NBA salaries are just blowing up right now. So, when J.J. Redick gets a 1-year contract for $22 or $23 million, whatever it was, and then you look at Tim Hardaway, the Knicks have put together a core, what some will foolishly call a core four, of Porzingis, the Hardaway, Hernan Gomez, and the Nicolina kid. So they're going to have to wait at least a couple of years for the point guard to be ready. He's only 18. He hasn't impressed in the summer league at all. He's been hurt. I don't even think he's played. But I'm kind of at a loss here because you've used a lot of your cap room, in fact, most of your cap room, to sign Hardaway.
Right.
And they don't have a point guard. Chasson Randall is the only point guard on their roster right now. He's like a D-League guy. I mean, he's not a guy you want starting 82 games.
Westchester Knicks, not New York Knicks.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm talking about. Here's 4 things. All right, 4 things about Tim Hardaway Jr. All right, my first reaction when I heard about this deal was, well, at least they didn't pay him as much as they paid Joakim Noah. All right, Joakim Noah is making $1 million more than Tim Hardaway Jr. And believe me, Tim Hardaway Jr. will give the Knicks much more for the almost same amount of money than Joakim Noah.
Well, the thing that gets me about Tim Hardaway Jr., they get rid of him and now they bring him back. So where did he get better, so to speak?
I'm getting to that, brother.
Okay, well,
with the 4 points. All right,
I'm asking.
The second point is that the Knicks pretty much gave Hardaway away 2 years ago.
I know.
All right,
it's a funny thing.
They traded him to the Hawks for the draft rights to Jerry and Grant on draft day 2 years ago. And the main reason that the Knicks traded Hardaway was because they didn't like how he played defense, because they didn't think he hustled and worked on defense. Well, what a surprise. The Atlanta Hawks taught him how to play defense. Why can't the Knicks do that? That's my problem with one of my many problems with the Knicks is they don't seem to be capable of developing players. Porzingis has developed to a certain extent because he's talented. It's not like the Knicks have really done a lot. I mean, his numbers between his rookie year and last year were almost the same. So how much is he developing?
Rambis would have been a good teacher, so to speak.
Well, maybe they should have brought Patrick Ewing in to teach the 7'3" guy how to play around the basket instead of standing around the 3-point line. 7'3", and the guy stands around the 3-point line way more than he should.
I agree
All right,
with that.
so but Patrick Ewing is now coaching Georgetown
For the rest of his life.
Yes, well, probably. So Hardaway is definitely a better player than he was when he left the Knicks, and he's only 25, like I said. So from that standpoint, I kind of like the signing. Again, I'm kind of mixed on this, but I think I'm leaning more towards like than dislike. But
I'm glad he's back. I'm just not sure. They had it at one point, so it's only 2 years. It's not like they brought him back 10 years later.
I'm also thinking that they probably could have signed him for less money than they did, because the Hawks only could have offered him about $12 million a year, because they have their own cap issues to deal with. Plus, they already have somebody playing his spot. He's kind of a wing player, kind of a shooting guard, small forward. They already have a guy, what's his name, Bozeman, who they're paying about $17 million a year for.
Right.
So they weren't about to spend more than $12 million and have more than $30 million committed to one position. That's not going to happen. So the Knicks probably did overpay, but that's what they had to do.
Wouldn't be the first time. And we doubt it's the last time.
Third point is the Knicks still don't have a real point guard, like I said.
Right.
Although Derrick Rose and Rajon Rondo are both out there, which that's not really saying a whole lot. Rajon Rondo is a head case and a problem, and Derrick Rose, as we saw last year, is not nearly as effective as he once was in his career. But the Knicks
doesn't seem to carry them.
But the Knicks are looking for a point guard on a one-year deal. But there are a lot of teams out there looking for a point guard, and a lot of teams in a better situation than the Knicks. So, I don't know, maybe Derrick Rose comes back, but he had made noise about he wanted a max contract, so he's going to sign with whoever gives him the most money, although he seemed to like New York. And he seems to want to be able to prove himself in New York. Right. I don't know why or whatever, but that all remains to be seen is what the Knicks are going to do at point guard. And number 4, Tim Hardaway Sr., who had a Hall of Fame career, who played for the Golden State Warriors with Tim Hardaway and was very successful. He made slightly more than $46 million in his entire career. Just to give you some perspective on how insane NBA salaries have become.
So basically you're saying is that Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to have to take his dad out for dinner a couple of times.
Tim Hardaway Jr. is now picking up checks.
Yeah.
Dad is relieved of that burden for until he goes, as they say. But yeah,
that's how crazy. I mean,
Junior better get the black card ready.
I'm sure Tim Hardaway saying, you know what, I could play 10 minutes.
No, he's like 50-something now. So, no, he cannot.
Maybe for the Knicks.
Well, for the Knicks, any 50-something-year-old can play. All right, anyway.
We can play.
That's all. No, we're too fat.
Well, we got 2 minutes, Tim. Give me something about the Arsenal Premier League.
Arsenal. The once a Premier League power, Arsenal, but now nothing more than a selling club, is about to sell again. The Gooners are reportedly set to sell their best player, Alexis Sanchez, to Manchester City.
Is that what their name is, the Gooners?
Well, they call themselves the Gunners. Tottenham fans, we call them the Gooners.
Oh, okay. You should say that.
The transfer fee has not yet been agreed upon, but Arsenal is thought to be holding out for $80 million, and Manchester City probably will pay.
See, that's even
want to pay about
crazier.
$60 million.
But that's crazier to buy a player for that much. That's like crazy, that's NBA fee.
That's how it works.
I know, but that's still crazy money.
It's crazy money, without a doubt. But that's how it works in Europe. They buy players, they don't sell them. So Manchester City will probably try to pay somewhere in the 50 to 60 million range. Arsenal claims they're going to hold out for 80 million, and if Manchester City doesn't give them that amount, then they will force Sanchez to honor his contract, which players don't do. Sanchez might just tell Arsenal, hey, screw you, I'm not playing for you. Sell me or I won't play. And then they'll just say, all right, well, we won't pay you then. Or they'll send him to play with the reserve team and just bury him for a year, which is stupid for them because then he leaves on what they call a free.
Right.
All right, and then they don't get anything for him. So they'll work out a deal. I don't think it'll be for $80 million, but
imagine you had the audacity to say, you don't have to, I'm not playing this year. You don't have to pay me.
It happens all the time.
It's just amazing.
It happens. Unfortunately, it happens all the time. But that's what's going on there. Arsenal is thought that they will take that money and invest it in other players and probably screw it up and buy more garbage like they have been for the last few years.
Yeah.
Sanchez is by far their best player. By far. They don't even have another guy on the roster who's even close to him. So and they did finish 5th last year, so they're not in the Champions League this year.
Okay. We got to get going, brother. You've been listening to From the Press Box right here on 90.3 FM WHPC. WHPC HD, Garden City, New York. I am Rob Leonard. He is Tim Leonard. Tim Leonard is on Twitter at
Real Tim Leonard.
Coming up next at 11 o'clock, Big Ed with the Good Gold Show.
Crank it up.
The opinions expressed on air are not necessarily those of WHPC, its management, or Nassau Community College.
Responsible opposing viewpoints will be considered by emailing them to whpc@ncc.edu or by mail to WHPC 1 Education Drive, Garden City, New York, 11530.
Thanks for listening to the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.